this video, I'm bringing you a review on the Monteverde Super Mega Carbon collection. They have two versions of this pen, not counting different trims, but in the Mega collection, you have Carbon, which is what I have here, and you have the Abalone version. The Abalone version also has facets around this, whereas the body on mine is rounded. Additionally, I have a special nib, which I'll get to shortly. I want to show you the box first. In the box, you have basically nothing there, just where the pen holds. Inside, you would have your ink, and you'll also have some instructions on how to fill your pen. I put this card on the top so I could show you this already. Mine has this card. What this card is, it talks about their omniflex nib, which is what I have on this. In short, the omniflex nib is supposed to give you flex when you write, give you some line variation when you apply pressure. You can pause the video if you'd like to read all of this. This may actually be the heaviest pen I have. I wish I had my Lamy 2000 here. I'm getting the nib on it ground, but I have the stainless steel version, and that's probably the only thing that's going to rival this. This is a heavy pen. The cap itself is a chunk of the weight too. So this does post, and it seems secure, but I don't. First off, I don't like how that looks. Secondary, I just wouldn't do it. I think that the pen's heavy enough that you really don't want to mess with that. The grip section on this pen is pretty substantial. You have a lot of room to grip the pen itself. As you can see on the Omniflex nib, it has these little wing cutouts on the side on both sides. That is what's supposed to give you the more flex with the line. It's able to bend the tines up farther and more easily. This is a plastic feed. Nothing special there. As far as the rest of the body, the carbon fiber is relatively smooth. I don't know if it's as smooth as the stainless steel here in the rose gold trim, but it is very smooth. It has some grip to it, so there's some friction, but it's definitely a smooth pen. Size-wise, this fits my hand very easily. This is a pretty large pen all around. Even the cap is substantial, as I said before. On top of the cap finial, you do have the Monteverde logo. The threads on the inside look to be plastic, which is interesting considering the rest of this, but it's already such a heavy pen, I'm not super surprised by that. And strangely enough, it has the clip that you see on a lot of Italian pens, which is this roll ball clip. I really love these. I think that they're great. It's really easy to use them when you're putting them in a shirt. I put my pens in my pocket a lot in my pants, and I usually will get the clip on the edge so I get easy access to pull it back out. This pen gives me business vibes, so you're probably safe to go with a black or blue ink. What this ink is it's Noodler's American Eel Cactus Fruit. What these are for is this ink's made specifically for like piston filling pens. It's supposed to lubricate it, but it also has really good flow. And for a nib like this, where I want to test the flex and kind of see the tine spread and see if I can get the ink to go with it, I need an ink that I know can handle doing that. That's why I'm going with this one. The pen does come with a converter, and it's the converters that I like, Monteverde's one, so they actually have threads on the converter. So these fit in really great, and I've always loved these converters. Honestly, any Monteverde pen I've ever used, I'm a big fan of their converters. For paper, we're going with the Rhodia number 16 black A5 lined paper. This is 90 GSM, and it is Clairefontaine paper. It is ivory color, so it is not perfect white. There is an off hue to this. But I love this paper. It detaches really easily and writes great, and I'm sure anyone in the fountain pen world kind of is familiar with this paper. One last thing of note before getting into writing is the cap on here actually unscrews with one rotation, which is really nice. There's one full rotation and comes off. There's not a lot of threads on here, and you can tell that just by looking here. So it is really nice. It's not the most secure I've ever felt, but it is really nice in how smooth and easily that comes on and off. For this part, I don't actually want to do fast writing. I actually just want to show the flex of the pen. So I'm going to use the word the because that's a really easy one with a lot of long lines. So if I was to apply no pressure, you can get a pretty uniform line. Now with pressure, You get some pretty good line variation. I mean, just looking at the difference side by side, it's pretty nice. As far as like just a normal line, it is fairly fine just for its standard line. I can't tell definitively how much more this is. I don't know if I would say double. It might be even a little bit more, but you definitely get quite a bit of line variation out of this. I will say that unflexed, no pressure at all, this is a bit scratchy. It reminds me almost of more than a fine. It almost reminds me of like an extra fine for its thinnest line. But with pressure, I mean, that's definitely a broad, almost to a double broad, honestly. By no means am I someone that does like calligraphy or a lot of line variation writing or really stylized writing, but I wanted to try to do something that kind of showed or expressed the differences that you can get. I tried to make just a normal basic sentence, but you should be able to see pretty clearly all the line variation. There's quite a bit of interesting you can get with this. For size comparison, I have a Lamy, Safari, and my Pilot Custom 823. When comparing the size of the Safari is a little bit shorter, but the 823 are nearly identical with sizing. For some more pen comparisons, I also have the Benu Euphoria and the Narwhal Key West, which is the same size as their original. When looking at these, the Euphoria is slightly bigger as far as length goes, and the original is slightly smaller. When looking at them uncapped, the carbon is now longer than the 823 and still longer than the Lamy was before. So it actually is the longest out of these three. When looking at these pens posted, the Lamy actually ends up being the same size as the Mega Carbon. Maybe the smallest of differences that's almost impossible to see, but it's about the same size. And then the 823 is actually shorter than the rest now. In conclusion, how do I feel about this pen? How do I feel about this nib? Do I think you should run out and go purchase one of these for yourself? Well, let me start off by saying the price point on this pen is actually rather high. The MSRP for this on Monteverde's site is 185. I think that is a lot of money to invest in a pen, especially when at that price point you should be looking at gold nibs and so on and so forth. That being said, you can find this pen on sale often on Amazon. I actually did, and I'll link it below. It's not on the sale I got it on, but there are some other nib sizes that are on the sale. I paid $45 plus tax on this, and I know the extra fine, at least at the time of watching this video, is the same price right now. But do I think it's worth that price point? Yeah, I really do. I think you get a nice pen. It looks classy. It's definitely on the heavier end. I don't know if I'd use this every single day, but if you want something to kind of flaunt or show off, or maybe even give someone to write something, they're like, hey man, you want to try a fountain pen? Here's this. They would hold this and feel like it is luxurious and it is expensive. The carbon fiber is a really nice touch. It looks clean. And all the accents, at least on the rose gold model I have here, I think look good. And this clip, the roller clips, are always my. I absolutely love these. I think they work great and they're fantastic. The box itself is a bit underwhelming, especially when you consider $185. That would be really high. But for the point I got it at, I could recommend this pen. I think people could have a lot of use out of this and have fun with it, especially if you were able to get the omniflex nib for the price I got. I hope you learned something in this video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below.